I want to make some pies. I've got several books. I picked up Sunset Pies and Pastry, used that for a few years. Recently I got Martha Stewart's book at Harry and David's store. They had it on sale. And then at Chimney Rock I got a Easiest Pie, Beginners and Experts, old-fashioned recipes. All of these books talk about keeping things cold. Well, I've taken that to an extreme. Another new thing is the Crisco packages that have individual containers, easy for measuring like butter. I've followed some of the recipe on that. I've been making pies with this new technique. I've been using 1/3 of the amount of shortening for the amount of flour. In this case I'm going to use a 1/2 cup of shortening and 1½ cups of flour. I use 2 3/4 cups to make the 1½. And I've been, this will make me more pie dough than I need, and that's always nice to have extra. So now I've cut the shortening in half. I've got the 1/2 cube of shortening that will go in the freezer. The rest of that can go in the refrigerator. I have the 1½ cups of flour in a Ziploc. We'll put that in the freezer. And I have water. Now I've added my salt to the water. I use a teaspoon for 2 crusts, 1/2 teaspoon for 1 crust, and a full bottle for 2 crusts, 1/2 bottle for 1 crust. I'm going to put that in the freezer also, but this I only put this in the refrigerator. Shortening and flour are freezing with the water. I'm going to put the bowls, I'm using 2 bowls, and the pastry cutter into the refrigerator. Then I'm going to put the cutting board and the butcher knife and spatula in a freezer. Instead of cutting the shortening into the flour, I'm going to cut the flour into the shortening. Okay, now I'm going to take the frozen shortening. Should be frozen for about a day, and I'm going to put that in the flour. Then I'll put some more flour over the shortening. Then we're going to make sure it's coated with flour. Then I'm going to cut that and get the shortening into the flour, into the shortening. This is not necessary. We could just use a pastry blender, but this makes it a little faster for the blending. Now I have strips of the shortening. I'm going to cut these into cubes. It's about a 1/2 inch each. After all these cutting, then I can use the pastry brush to finish combining the shortening with the flour. I've transferred the cubed flour shortening mixture into the chilled bowl with a chilled pastry blender. Now I'm going to finish blending the shortening and the flour. So we're looking for the smallest pieces to be about pea size. Now we have the secret for my flaky crust, something that I'm letting you in on the secret method. And what I do is, to get the water into the shortening, I'm going to use the spray bottle with the frozen salt water. There's some ice crystals in there. Put a little bit of we get a layer of shortening that's moistened with the flour, and then we scrape that moistened part off to the side, and put that into another bowl. And in case some of that didn't get wet, we'll put some more water on it. Another layer. And then I'll scrape that again, scrape the moisten off to the other bowl. Instead of using another bowl, I could use a layer of wax paper, moisten that, and continue moistening. Okay, we're just about done. Scrape this off to the side, put that in there, re-moisten, continuing to scrape. Okay, we're going to take this bowl and repeat the process going back to the first bowl. The reason I use the two bowls is for minimal distortion or handling of the flour water shortening mixture. So by doing this, we retain its softness and fluffiness. I'm going to re-moisten this some more. Take the moistened part and pulling it off to the side. Now we're starting to get some good clumps of moistened flour shortening. Re-moistening and pulling the moistened part off to the side. Looking for the big chunks, taking the big chunks into the other bowl. Now that I have the mixture, nice clumps of flour shortening water, I'm going to put that in a plastic wrap and make a bundle to put in the refrigerator for 3 hours to a day or two. This is more than I would need for one crust. I like to have extra. I'm going to put this in the refrigerator. Then when I roll it, I'll be rolling it out and then folding it over and continuing the roll to that folding it over helps to prevent the breaking up when I get close to the size for the pie. And that's my secret for making flaky crust.